If a man insisted on always being serious and never allowed himself a bit of fun, he would go mad or become unstable without knowing it. This is a quote by Herodotus, a man known as the father of history, and also the father of lies. History is often shaped by those who remember, but Herodotus is as known for developing history as we know it today as he is for his mythological documentations and poor recollection of what really happened during his adventures. Born in Halicarnassus around 484 BCE, Herodotus traveled widely across the known world. His work documented the rise and conflicts of great civilizations, particularly the Persian Wars, but his methods were unconventional. He did not merely record events. He collected stories, some accurate, others dubious. His work stands as one of the first true historical narratives, yet it remains filled with contradictions, legends, and outright impossibilities. Herodotus's Histories is regarded as the first attempt at a systematic recording of past events, yet even he acknowledged that much of his work was second-hand. His critics, both ancient and modern, have accused him of exaggeration and fabrication. Thucydides, a historian who followed in Herodotus's wake, dismissed his predecessor's work as unreliable and overly reliant on myth rather than verifiable fact. Even so, Herodotus's accounts remain our only records of many ancient civilizations, and without them, much of what we know about early history would be lost. His descriptions of Egypt offer a compelling yet inconsistent portrait of the land and its people. He wrote that Egyptian priests had records going back 11,000 years, an impossibility by modern archaeological standards. He described the Nile as the longest river in the world, but included many misconceptions about its sources and annual flooding. Herodotus also took great interest in Egyptian customs, detailing practices such as embalming and burial rites, which he claimed were the origins of Greek religious practices. He noted that Egyptian women enjoyed more freedoms than their Greek counterparts, though his interpretations of their societal roles are subject to debate. One of the more fascinating aspects of his account is his description of pyramids and the labor required to construct them. He claimed that the workforce consisted of 100,000 laborers working in 3-month shifts, a number now believed to be exaggerated. He also described how the immense stones were moved using wooden sledges and ramps, a theory that aligns somewhat with modern archaeological findings. One of his most perplexing claims was the existence of gold-digging ants in India. According to Herodotus, these creatures were the size of foxes and unearthed gold dust as they dug their burrows. He described these ants as incredibly aggressive, making it dangerous for local tribes to approach them. To gather the gold, people would send camels into the region, collect the gold-laden sand quickly, and then retreat before the ants could attack. While this has been dismissed as myth, some believe he may have misunderstood reports of large marmots in the region, which were known to dig through sandy terrain rich in gold deposits. The exaggeration may have stemmed from a translation error or embellishments by informants trying to impress him. Herodotus also recorded tales of the Hyperboreans, a supposed northern people who lived in eternal spring and never suffered illness or war. According to his accounts, they sent sacred offerings to the Greek god Apollo and lived in bliss, untouched by the hardships of the mortal world. Some historians believe this was a distorted account of nomadic tribes from the northernmost regions of Europe, or an amalgamation of different cultural myths blended into one legend. Whether these were misinterpretations of real Arctic cultures or pure legend remains unclear. What is certain is that the Greeks believed these people lived somewhere beyond the known world, in a paradise untouched by the suffering of mankind. His writings on Babylon are similarly mixed. He described the city's immense walls and the hanging gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, but some details, such as his claims about Babylonian marriage customs, lack supporting evidence. He stated that every Babylonian woman, at least once in her life, was required to sit in the temple of Ishtar and offer herself to a stranger in an act of sacred prostitution. This claim has been widely disputed, as no Babylonian records or corroborating sources exist to support it. Herodotus also claimed that Babylon had a massive, nearly impassable moat, double walls, and a city layout that made it nearly invincible. While there is evidence of large-scale fortifications, the scale he described is believed to be exaggerated. Still, Herodotus's depiction of Babylon remains one of the most detailed available from the ancient world. Herodotus's accounts extend beyond geography and into warfare. His work extensively details the Persian Wars, chronicling events such as the Battle of Marathon, the stand of the Spartans at Thermopylae, and the naval engagement at Salamis. He describes how the Persian king Xerxes, driven by arrogance, believed his empire to be invincible. While many of these accounts align with other historical sources, Herodotus often includes dramatic embellishments, making it difficult to separate fact from legend. He portrays the Persian king Xerxes as a ruler beset by hubris, unable to control his vast empire, and ultimately defeated by the cunning and resilience of the Greeks. Another striking feature of Herodotus's work is his attention to cultural practices, including those of the Scythians, a nomadic people of the Eurasian steppes. He describes their burial rituals, their methods of warfare, and their customs, such as the use of cannabis in religious ceremonies. He also claims that the Scythians drank the blood of their enemies and made drinking cups out of their skulls. Though some of his observations have been corroborated by archaeological discoveries, others seem exaggerated or influenced by Greek notions of barbarism. Nonetheless, his account is one of the few surviving sources that provide insight into these enigmatic nomadic peoples. Despite its flaws, history's remains invaluable. While Herodotus' accounts cannot always be taken at face value, they provide a rare insight into the ancient world. Even his most doubtful stories reveal how the Greeks viewed foreign cultures in the past. His work laid the foundation for the study of history, and his method of inquiry, though imperfect, paved the way for future historians to refine the craft. Herodotus was not merely a recorder of events, he was a storyteller. His methodology, which combined inquiry with observation and comparative analysis, set the foundation for historical writing. His approach to gathering information, traveling to foreign lands, and critically examining the credibility of his sources influenced later historians. He demonstrated that history could be more than a mere record of kings and battles. It could be an exploration of culture, geography, and human behavior. His work invites us to question where history ends and myth begins. The stories he preserved, even when flawed, offer a window into a time long past, making him not only the father of history, but one of its most enduring figures.